alcohol was my best friend. It was my only coping mechanism for anything. It's all I knew how to do. And I was so wrong about what I thought it was going to be. So if anybody is actually listening and is struggling and thinking, like, if you're thinking about that, maybe you should stop drinking, regular people don't usually think that.
Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I'm your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl. Welcome to another episode of Lead Like a Girl. And I'm just really excited to have this conversation today. And this is just a conversation about sobriety. And I have just good friends, and we're going to have a good conversation today. And we're going to talk about all the things sober living. And I'm just excited to have these ladies just share their story and share their journey. But I also want to just start off by really celebrating my Sandy today, because it is her anniversary, and we didn't even plan this, guys. It is her anniversary. 32 years or 33 years, Sandy? 32 years of sobriety today. What are the odds of that? We had to pivot because our studio was down last week. We usually record on Mondays, and today we get to celebrate. And Sandy, I'm sure she has a full day, because sober living has not stopped this girl from partying. I will tell you that right now. So I know that there is a party happening at her house today to celebrate this. So let's get right into it. And I want to start off, even before we do some introductions, I want to start off with some fun questions. And so let's jump right into what was thinking about that first time, right? What's the first thing that you did when you realized that you were going to choose sobriety? And I love this question, because for me, I would be like, you know what? I am going out and I am buying myself a new Louis Vuitton, because I'm going to be
We need to celebrate my decision, and then on the back end, we'll figure out if I actually do the thing.
You guys can just jump in. Teresa, Sandy, anybody just jump in. Tell me, what was that first thing?
Does Sandy want to jump in, or?
All right, go ahead, Teresa.
Well, I was at a point, I mean, it's not, I don't know. It is a fun thing, because it was the start of the rest of my life, and I had to completely surrender. And to break that cycle, I had to make a choice to do some deep investing in myself. So got into a program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I put myself in an intensive outpatient program. But today, I mean, it's been over 3 years, and I just celebrated my 4th consecutive birthday sober, and it's just been the start of my life. So, but I'll kind of let someone else jump in. Sandy, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm going to switch questions just because I love doing that. We like practicing impromptu speaking here on Lead Like a Girl too. So the moment you had your answer,
do we really love that?
Corlin does not love that, guys. She doesn't love it.
I want to know, what's your favorite mock drink? So what's that thing, whether you made it up or it's, what do you guys drink at the party? Tell me what that is.
Just a caffeine infusion.
Yeah, for me, there's more restaurants that are getting to finally provide those good drinks and those mocktails. And I go to the winery with my girlfriends. I love anything that will have like a spritzer, the grapefruit spritzer from Pellegrino, with like any type of blueberry added into it as well. And then mint. Like if they will crush a mint leaf in a drink, it just makes it that, like, the ability to have a drink with all the other adults without having to have the soda.
I'm so glad. Yes, I'm so glad you're bringing that up. I was going to ask all three of you that question because I noticed on the menu there's always the really interesting looking mocktails now. I'm so glad you brought that up. Keep going.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I always push too is there's a local winery, and my girlfriends will go out and they're like, well, we know that you don't drink wine anymore, but we don't want to leave you out. And I'm like, I'm fine going to a winery. They have other drinks. And I ordered, it was a $9 mocktail, and they poured it in a plastic cup. And then all my other girlfriends had these really cute wine glasses, and we were about to go out on the patio, take pictures. And I look like I'm going to a beer party, and I'm like, can I get one of the fancy adult cups? And he's like, no, those are for the cocktail drinks. I said, well, I'm paying just as much, just minus the alcohol, and I'm an adult. So can we just allow me to
Can we skip the sippy
like
cup,
one?
please?
Yeah. And he just seems so backed up about it. But I was like, he finally got me my glass. So
yeah, I would have been the same way. Speaking of adults,
absolutely.
Sandy, tell us what you're drinking today.
Okay, so juice bags, Red Bull. Red Bull is my go-to.
Okay,
gotcha.
I've had some like oops with things that look like something else.
Yeah.
So I kind of stay away from them. Like there was I was dancing, of course, and Pellegrino. I always used to drink big bottle of Pellegrino, and I wanted it in a wine glass. Right, I wanted it in a wine glass, and guess what I picked up when I came up off of the dance floor, dying for something to drink. Jessica see me dance. I sweat like it's. I don't dance a little bit.
This is an aerobic adventure for you on the dance floor.
Yes,
it is, and it was a glass of white wine.
So now,
yeah. So I'm happy with my chicken.
For those of you just listening, not watching, she's holding up a literal Capri Sun pouch.
It's a no commercial. I should cover that up, right? Like no commercial.
It's fantastic
because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatever's on
sponsorship
sale,
on
right?
this.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. Oh, all right. So
I do think there is
juice
a
bag
thing
is.
about restaurants getting on the bandwagon. I don't think it's a new thing, but that what you were talking about, Trisha, the idea of even like when I've been out and I've gotten a soda, you can still give me a glass. Like I'm not 12,
Yeah.
you know, but this whole idea is that non-alcoholic drinks have to look like vastly different than alcoholic drinks or whatever, that I think that the restaurants and the venues that kind of get with the show, understanding where you're coming from and why you're ordering this and not trying to make it a big deal. People are getting on the bandwagon, but it's still kind of a slow play and trying to make it not make it a big deal.
To your point, I just saw an article where like more people who don't have to, right? Like I have to not drink, right? But people who are not having a problem with alcohol are choosing to like want a mocktail or not drink instead.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that has something to do with it. But I didn't choose to get sober. Sobriety chose me.
I like that. You just reminded me.
It's
so,
not my,
wasn't
my bright idea.
Right, wasn't my husband? Will just celebrated his, I think it's 9 years, and he makes a joke out of it, and he tells people, because it comes up all the time, and we'll get into this, but his line is, "I'm allergic," and they're like, "You're allergic to alcohol?" And he goes, "Yeah, I break out in handcuffs," and so that's his.
I can see Will saying that, and that's freaking hilarious.
I love that. That's awesome.
What is your mocktail go-to when you are out at the party?
There's a restaurant called Pio's in Coronado. My husband took me out and they had a fojito. It was a mojito, but a fojito. And they muddled, they made the whole fojito with the mint and the raspberries and the berries and all the things. So I just went out and on Amazon bought myself a little muddler thing and get your sparkling water and you just crush your little berries and your mint and put some lime in there. And I like the little sparkly taste in the background, but it's so beautiful and it's refreshing. And I'm a coffee girl, but I've had people say, "Oh, you don't drink anymore. Like you don't drink anymore, so I can't get you a drink." And I'm like, I still drink. Like I drink whatever I want.
We still need to be hydrated.
I just don't drink alcohol, so you can get me this. I get my Roy Rogers, I get my Shirley Temples, I get my extra cherries. So I have a blast with all of my beverages.
Oh, you're like Mr. Smith. Do not give him a Shirley Temple without extra cherries.
Extra cherries.
Oh my gosh. And don't let him make it none. He's like Trisha said, I paid for this drink. Can I have my extra cherries, please?
Mhm.
That's good. So I want to get into real introductions here, but I wanted to get that out of the way. What I'd love to hear is just really quick on your name and maybe your profession, if you have kids, if you're married, and how long you've been sober. I think that would be great introduction. And even if Corlin and Jamie, I'd love to know just if you have any experience. And what I mean by that is, so for me, I grew up in a household with a mother who struggled with alcoholism, and then, married a man who struggles with alcoholism. So even though I have not had my own struggles with it, let me be clear, those struggles were my struggles. And so I always tell people that, because I think sometimes we forget when we say, well, that's the person. Well, I'm that person too. That's how I look at it. So we can totally start with Trisha. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I want to just say thank you for inviting me, Corlin. And we've been friends for years when we met at Bible study. And just, I've known her husband since we were young kids. And so I grew up in a household where my mom was an opioid addict, and I was the caregiver. Out of 5 of us kids and my dad, I was the one that, since I was the age of 16, experienced and knew what was going on with her addiction from the get-go. And I didn't really drink in high school. There was a few times that we'd hang out and be together. My husband and I have been together since we were 15, but I didn't really drink. It wasn't anything that I desired to be doing with my friends. I would be more of the supportive one. And then after high school, I got a job at IKEA and helped build the store here in Minnesota. And every Wednesday night, all of us managers took out all of the people from around the world that had come to help build the store. And the only rule for our store manager, he would buy the drinks as long as we showed up for work the next day. And that like plummeted me into this. It was socially acceptable. I drank every Wednesday night and then every weekend going out, and usually would go to work completely hungover and functional because everybody else was. And then my husband and I, just growing up together, we just kind of went through my mom's stuff together. And about 6.5 years ago, it came to a head when my husband almost died of alcohol withdrawal. And so he spent 2 weeks in the hospital, almost died from a grand mal seizure, and every textbook withdrawal symptom he went through over those 2 weeks, and didn't know me for 2 weeks. I was for sure that I was going to be the one that was going to be taking care of another child. We have 2 beautiful kids. Our son Jackson is 18 now, and our daughter's Reagan is 14. And 6.5 years ago, 7 years ago, they witnessed him almost die. And while we were in the hospital, everybody kept coming for him saying, poor Jared, I didn't realize this was so bad. And they didn't really ask me how I was doing. And so that I would go home, have a couple glasses of wine, and then go back to the hospital and sit with him. And the day he was released from the hospital, it was like he was cured. It's the Alice Cooper story. God cured Jared, my husband, of alcoholism. And from that day forward, when he was out, he had no desire to drink. He was completely healthy going forward and got off all of his medications. And then I was like, forget it. Everybody else was there for him. Nobody was there for me. And I always do everything big, which, as an executive director of a nonprofit and leading an organization here in town that serves the community at a huge capacity, I go big if I'm going to do something. And I did that with my drinking of my wine. If I had a box, that box was usually gone within a day. And it came to a point where everything that I have gone through in my self-awareness, I decided, and my OCD I was going to be done, and I was going to decide when I was going to be done, not anybody else. I'm not doing it for my husband or kids because then I would not succeed. I had to do it for me so that I could be a better person. And I decided that in December, I was going to quit drinking January 1st of 2021. And December 31st, I will tell you, 4 bottles of wine. It was a box of wine and several shots and drinks. I was done. And then January 1st, I hung out with my kids while my husband went to work, and I haven't drank since then. And so this January, it'll be 5 years that I've been sober. And yeah, it's been a journey, but it's just after all of that, I just, like you guys have said, I am not a pretty person when I drink. And so nobody wants to get to know that side of me. And I'm not willing to share that side of me anymore in the growth that I've made over the last 5 years. So I choose to continue to stay sober and move forward to serve as God has called me to.
Wow, I love that.
Awesome.
And I have so many questions, but I'm going to get back to that. I want to have everybody thank you for sharing that. I should have made a note.
Hello, Teresa Steely over here in San Diego, California. Happy birthday again to Sandy, and nice to meet you, Trisha, because I didn't get to meet you on the front end. And I'm in property management. I manage property out in Point Loma, California for military housing. I am married almost 17 years. By the grace of God, we got through a lot of stuff. I have 2 beautiful boys and a bonus daughter, 12, 16, and then she's in her and we're trying to get her wings to fly. But I started drinking. I stole my first 6-pack from my dad when I was in about 6th grade, and I chugged that thing. And I was alone in the house, and it was really ugly. I was a little 12-year-old just drinking away. My grandma was alcoholic, dad was alcoholic, but I believe that I was completely delivered from alcoholism the second time around. The day that I walked myself into an urgent care because I was also having withdrawals from cocaine and meth and alcohol that day. And the nurse in there kind of looked at me like I was just I just felt humiliated, and I felt I was just at my rock bottom, and I was alone because my husband, I was a closet drinker and all of the things at the end. So everybody thought I was like functioning and working and all of the things. So I was just so alone in it, but I wasn't alone because God was with me the whole time. And I really believe that He got me through the withdrawals because I just prayed. I just prayed. It was July 29th of 2022. And it was my second time trying to get sober. And there's a lot to my journey and all of the things. But what I had to do to break that cycle was really learn what kept taking me back. And so when I put myself in this, there was an intensive outpatient program that I did 3 times a week, and it was like 3 hours a night. And I really just started learning about Teresa and learning about me and lots of self-care and just, praying that, God would just continue to show me that I know I have a purpose and a plan for my life. My desire is just to help other women that are kind of down and out, not necessarily just struggling with the drugs or alcohol, but just, wanting more out of life. And fast forward, I was about to lose my job again when I completely surrendered, but today God got me back on my feet. I love what I do. I love giving back to my military families. I'm a woman with purpose today. I just cherish every moment with my children and my husband. I appreciate Jessica for inviting me on here because even back when in 2016, when I got to go out with you to Silicon Valley, and that just, you poured so much into me, and I'm going to try not to cry, but you are such an amazing woman. And I appreciate just all of the things that you're also doing in your life to pour back into people. And it just comes full circle. And I really appreciate just all of the women that are on this platform today. And I know we all have a purpose for our life. So I'm just grateful to be sober today. I'm grateful to get to show up to life today. And that's what I get to do being sober, is show up to life. And I get to my design for life. I can just kind of like tweak it and change it and have fun with it, but I wouldn't have been able to without being sober. So thank you.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate your words. And, it's funny because Teresa is always, and you guys will see this if you connect with her on social media, she is always smiling. She is always happy. And I've been knowing her for years, and I cannot even pinpoint a time where I could say that she was going through, what she was going through, because through it all, and we do this, right? We keep our smile, we keep our face, we keep strong, and she has certainly done that. But thank you for just spending time with us today and sharing your story. I'm gonna let Sandy say her story, but I gotta first say my story about Sandy. So I swear Sandy and I are like twins in so many ways. And I say this about, she's also a Libra. But when I met Sandy for the first time, we were in Miami and I was so tired this night. I'm like, all I want to do is go to bed. And Sandy had so much, I was like, what the hell is this woman on? She had so much energy and she's like, I'm going out tonight. And I'm like, and she was at, who's going out? And I feel like there were
Was
people
it that Red Bull?
I don't know that she had one yet, but
Not yet.
and I feel like all these people said they were going out until it was time to go and everybody bailed. And so I'm just like, oh my God. And I remember thinking, because I don't remember, she's like, oh, I'm going this place. And I'm Googling it on, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I think this is like in Miami. She's talking about, I can't let
It
this
was Ball and Chain.
wait.
We went to the Ball and Chain in Calle Ocho.
It's called Ball and Chain, right? So all I'm
Ball and
thinking
Chain.
is, Lord, I am so tired. I do not feel like going out, but there is no way I can let this white lady go out in these streets by her. I'm just being honest.
Little did you know.
Because I didn't know her. I'm just looking at her saying, I can't let her go out here in these streets by herself. I'm like, damn, you know what? You got to take one for the team and you got to go with her, right? Well, I get into this Ball and Chain place, and within 5 minutes,
let me do it. Let me tell the rest. Let me tell the rest. Because we walk in. Okay, so first of all, I dance Cuban salsa, right? Like, that is what I do. Ball and Chain is a Cuban, like, I knew where I was going. And so we walk in the door, and I walk in, and the music, and I'm like, I don't even know if it was 30 seconds. And somebody comes to get me to dance. And I just look at Jessica, I'm like, hold my purse.
and she's
And
gone.
then that was it.
Right. So I'm like, wait a minute. I don't feel like being out right now. So where do I go? I go straight to the bar. I turn around and I said, what are you drinking? And she looks at me. She's like, I don't drink. I'm like, what? Because again, I'm worried. Here, this white lady's about to go out in Miami. She about to be out here at a bar drinking, doing all, like, I can't have that on my conscience. Like, I got to go with her. And then when she says I don't drink, I'm like, hell no. And when within 5 minutes, she is all over the dance floor. She's talking, she's speaking in Spanish. I look at her, I'm like, where are you from? And she's like, oh, I'm from Baltimore. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm seeing real quick. I did not need to be here. This woman,
she can handle her own. She's got it.
She can handle her all right. She's fine. Anyway, so Sandy, go ahead. And I'll never forget that day. But it was, I just couldn't let her go alone. And then I figured, she's me. She's here.
Yeah, but everything happens for a reason, because that was the beginning of a really awesome friendship.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, I value you in my life so very much, Jessica. Really.
Thank you.
And you know that, all right, so what am I supposed to tell you? All right, I'm Sandy. I'm Sandy. I live in Florida. October 25th, 1993 was my first day clean and sober. Really, by the grace of God, like I said, it was not my bright idea. It was not my idea. A series of unfortunate events fueled by drugs and alcohol is what happened. It was not an exciting, I mean, it was exciting, I guess, but I wasn't happy. I was not happy to be getting sober. A couple of DUIs. I mean, the first one, I crashed into a police car. That was not enough. And so I got another DUI. There was no accident, but it was the same cop. I mean, God has a sense of humor, right? Like, the same officer who arrested me in this really terrible accident, that it's a miracle that I lived and that I didn't kill other people. The same officer arrested me and took me all around Baltimore, like, took me around, because it was a big accident. like took me around. Look who I have again. Right. What else am I supposed to tell you? I work in automotive. I am a human resources consultant. I went from sobriety brought me from being a complete rule breaker where the rules, none of them applied to me, to now I follow all the rules. um, and well, not all of them, but what else am I supposed to tell you?
You're married with a beautiful daughter.
Oh yes, I am married. Got married this past April, actually, for the third and last time. And
Congratulations.
I tell you what, nobody. Let me tell. And all of those happened in recovery because nobody was asking me to marry them when I was drinking. Because unlike Teresa, I really appreciated Trisha and Teresa's stories, right? Like, but unlike them, I was not functioning. Everybody knew I was a hot mess. I was 26 when I got here, and I mean, I had a job, but it was a job that allowed me to party like I partied, right? Like my days were basically get up, crack open whatever was left over from last night if I was home, right? If I made it home, and then take a little nap until it was time to go to until it was time to get up and go to work and do it all the next day.
Yeah.
That was my existence. Like I said, I didn't choose recovery, but I am certainly grateful every single day for the 12-step program that I'm a member of, that gives me a roadmap for how to stay this way. And not only that, but how to deal with everything in my life. Everything.
Yeah.
With the steps.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because my question that I was thinking about when Trisha was sharing her story, which was, you mentioned, your husband's went through this. At what point did you identify I have a problem? Like, and I asked that to all of you because in the situation in my family, and I'll just speak specifically of my husband, and that was when I identified this guy wasn't someone who drank every day, right? That's a myth. And I want to get to those too. I want to talk a little bit about some myths. If Corlin, Jamie, you guys, this thought of you got to drink every day for it to be a problem. My husband did not drink every day. In fact, sometimes it wasn't every weekend. But what I identified, and this is growing up in a family where this was a major problem, I identified that every time he drank, he didn't know when to stop. And we would drink, and then I would be like, okay, I'm ready to go to bed. But for him, it was all night, and it was just keep going, and it was just never enough. And that's when I started to identify it was a problem. And I shared it with him, and he's just like, that's not, you don't get to tell me that I'm an alcoholic. So we went through that for years until I finally said, I'm going to stop talking to him and I'm going to talk to God about him. And that was the turning point for us where he was able to identify it for himself. So my question to you is, or all of you is, what was the moment that you had to identify to yourself, this is a problem and I have to do something about it?
Okay.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Trisha.
well, I think for us, it was like when we went to Valley Fair and Jared had a bottle, like he had vodka in a water bottle so he could get it through because he was worried about having the shakes. And the kids, like he and I are very strong individuals. So when both of us were drinking, we were butting heads the entire time. And our kids would just yell for us to stop. They'd beg us to stop yelling and fighting. And so then I started drinking on my own. Like I worked overnights shifts at the jail at the time. And the nights that I wasn't working, I'd still be up overnight. So then I would just drink. And I didn't have to drink every day. But I started to realize, like you had said, if I opened that box of wine, I was going to finish it. And I always had to something on hand because what if I wasn't able to, like I already started drinking, I can't get to the liquor store, I have to have something on hand. And when it started to impede on our abilities to be there for our kids, like getting them to soccer games, having to ask family to bring them, and secretly figuring out like, hey, why don't we carpool? And so that I could drink while I was at the game. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I wasn't belligerent right away after towards the end of the night when everybody else is getting ready for bed, I would just hit it as hard as possible and wake up just nasty the next morning. And then I'd be fine for a couple days and not drink. So since I didn't have to drink like my husband had to drink in order to get through his shakes. I was literally like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go hard. And it was, then it started to get, it was every day. So that was, and it, I started to see my mom in me, and that was we're done. Like, we are not going to continue this cycle.
Mhm.
I remember being a young girl, like at 17, and I had made a promise to myself to quit drinking from like 17 to 18 because I was already drinking and using drugs by the time I was 12. Um, and so I remember, God tried to get a hold of me during that time. And for a year, I was doing really good. And then there was just certain moments. And then I got into a really bad relationship. By the time I was 18, I was drinking again. There was a suicide attempt on myself. 18, fast forward, still going full speed ahead through my 20s. I moved to Bakersfield in my 20s, and it got really bad because I was by myself. I had no family with me. Bakersfield was just, there was access to drugs and alcohol, and nobody was there to keep me accountable. I could just do whatever I want. But in the midst of that, in Bakersfield, I did give my life to the Lord, but still continued to go down that road. And then fast forward, made it home by 2007. I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to just give it all to you. My husband that I knew from junior high came looking for me. We connected. I was sober kind of inadvertently for a little while, got pregnant, sober, but then went back into the drugs and the alcohol after becoming a mother. And that was, I think, just a sad part of it because there's time that's lost, but I know God's, he's recovering that time for me. So that's a whole nother thing. But when I really figured out like enough is enough, I was bringing alcohol to work. I had little buzz balls shoved in every little corner, hiding things, like just hiding everything. And then finally I was about to hit rock bottom again and lose this facade that I had, this life, this professional life, and I'm doing so great. And it was all about to crumble down before my very eyes, and nobody else knew around me. My husband wasn't realizing it because he was out to sea a lot. My parents just love me so much that they, no matter what I do in life, they're going to just pour. I'm very blessed with the love and care that I get from my family. But I was about to lose it all again, and I finally, and because I tried to get sober in 2016, relapsed after 2 years in 2018. Took me 5 years to get back. Got back to my knees in 2022, and I just told God, I'm like, I don't want this anymore, and I know I've got a problem, and I want to just turn this around and get sober, and whatever God has for me, I want to be able to serve and give back to people and love people. But yeah, it's been a journey, and my flesh, there's a lot of stuff. Yes, God has delivered me, but faith without works is dead. So you got to put a lot of action into it. I stay in recovery, I stay in AA, I connect with my sponsor, I stay in the herd, I stay in good circles of influence, and really just try to wake up every day, clean my side of the street, and say, how can I be the best person I can be today? So I don't ever want to go back to that pit of hell. And I'm just, grateful for just sobriety today.
Yeah, I love that, Teresa. And it sounds like, because I was just curious in terms of when you identified this, and it sounds like that you guys, you didn't spend a lot of time in denial. You identified a long time ago and you were honest with yourself. I have a problem, even though you may have went back. And I've heard this. I work a lot with people in recovery. That's one of my passions as well, and it's like people don't understand. Like, you didn't fail and fall every time you went back. It's part of the process. It's just part of the process. So thank you for sharing that. Sandy, when did you know like this is a problem?
So I'm so grateful and thankful, right? And that isn't how it started out. When I knew, like, it came in stages. What I knew at first, when the when the judge, well, when my attorney said, "Look, you're going to have to go somewhere if you want to stay out of jail," right? Because that basically was why I went to treatment. So, but what I knew, and my probation officer said something to me like, sometimes people get one DUI, but not two, right? Like regular people. Now, what I didn't know, which like, there's no thing such as coincidence. That probation officer was actually like 13 or 14 years sober, only I didn't know it. So when he said that to me, what I could understand, the first stage was like, okay, I'm a drunk, right? That's what I understood. I'm a drunk. And I talked to somebody who I admired, and they told me a story about someone that they knew that went to treatment and came out and could drink again like a regular person. And I thought that sounded like a really good idea, because the last thing in the world I wanted to do was stop drinking, right? Like, it didn't make sense to me. The world did not make sense to me without partying. So then when I got to the treatment center, right, I get there and I went to this place called Father Martin's. It was called Father Martin's Ashley. It's in Maryland. It's called Ashley. I think they just call it Ashley now. Anyway, I got there and they gave me this test. Like, they gave me like I don't know, I can't remember if it was 10 questions or 20 questions, but I passed. Like, at the end of the test, it was like, if you answered however many of these, and I was all by myself. It was the first time I was all by myself. Like, it was just me in that room. And I was like, it looks like I got this thing. And that's kind of when I knew, but I still didn't know what I was going to do about it. It wasn't until I was about two weeks into that really amazing, beautiful place that I got up at one of the meetings and picked up a chip, is what they call at the time. I think they called it a desire chip, right? And cried my eyes out the whole time. And that's when I decided that I was going to try this 12-step thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. I think, first of all three of you, thank you for sharing your story. I think that this level of vulnerability is exactly what I specifically, broadly, our listeners need to hear, because I don't think that your story is that different to a lot of people. They're struggling but don't have the boldness and the willingness to share. But a lot of people will resonate with this, because even just to share a little bit about my walk with alcohol is, I had my first sip of alcohol when I was 14 years old, and my mom listens to our podcast and she may not even know that about me. So we might have to have a conversation a little later. Alcohol has been a part of my life. My dad struggled with alcoholism. He was in and out of AA a couple different times. And so my parents were divorced because my dad was an alcoholic. My family, I've got several family members of mine that have either struggled with alcohol or now sober. And so alcohol has been a part of my life forever. And so this idea, even for myself, like when we were in high school, through college, and definitely into my 20s, I had owned that I loved to drink and be that person that was super social, be the life of the party. And even in thinking about, like, if I stop drinking, like, who am I if I'm not the person, the life of the party, the dancer? And I felt this unrealistic connection. Like, if I'm not that person, then really, what do I bring? Who am I? And so hearing your story, kind of going through this whole kind of sober, curious journey that a lot of us do, I think that it really resonates with a lot of people. So I want to ask you guys, well, there's a lot of talk of like, when you stop drinking, like, you're giving up all these different things. You have to change your life, like all these different things. But what have you gained? What did you get back? What are the things that you are now living in that was like you missed? Tell us, can you talk us through some of that?
Everything. Life. I mean, that is such a great question, really. I mean, yeah, you saw my husband.
We did see your husband.
We sure
Another
did.
reason to get on YouTube and watch our videos in the background. You can see him walking around back there. Oh my gosh.
Say that again?
I said you wouldn't have gotten that man if you weren't sober?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Because I am not the person that I was, right? I didn't know how to be a good friend. I didn't know how to be a good wife. I didn't know how to be a good kid. I didn't know how to be a good mother. You know, the 12-step program that I belong to, um, has given me everything that I am. Recovery has given me everything. And that's why my answer was like everything, life. Because I totally thought, like, Corlin, when you were saying, like, who you gonna, like, who would I be? I really, really thought that life was going to be a drag. I was never going to have fun again. I was never going to dance again. And I was never going to laugh again. Um, And that is just the complete opposite of my life. I was so wrong about what recovery was going to be. And that's not saying it wasn't hard. It was the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my life.
I bet.
Saying goodbye to alcohol was my best friend. It was my only coping mechanism for anything. It's all I knew how to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so wrong about what I thought it was going to be. So if anybody is actually listening and is struggling and thinking, like, if you're thinking about that, maybe you should stop drinking. Regular people don't usually think that. I'm just saying, go to a meeting.
What?
They
Clue
don't.
one.
Go to a meeting. Like, go to a meeting. Decide for yourself, right?
I just want to add, you know, just showing up to life, just like Sandy was saying, like today, my creative side is back. You know, simple things, you know, the mother and the wife that I always desire to be, I get to show up to life today. What I love doing is just, you know, gardening, house projects, you know, taking care of just all of the loved ones in my life. And before it was just kind of all about me. And the other thing is when I got sober, I was 205 pounds. I was a miserable, hot, fat mess. And today, just taking self-care, I'm down to 155 pounds. I feel amazing. And I just, you know, stay grateful every day.
Congratulations. That's so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And it was just the alcohol was just killing me. So just grateful today, showing up to life and just staying grateful today.
And all that 155 pounds is just right in her breast. So she's good anyway.
Another reason to watch us on YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I have these cute shoes on today because I was like, Jessica's such a fashionista. I was like, I got to represent today. So I got the cute top, I got the belt, I got the shoes.
We've got
not today.
Sandy's husband and Teresa's boobs. That's the two reasons to watch.
Right? Tune in. This is what we bring to the table.
PG over here at Lead Like a Girl. I'll tell you that.
This is
Jamie, go ahead.
Yes. Oh yeah. Thinking for those folks that might just be thinking about this, like, and you kind of said this, Sandy, it might not be someone who's thinking that they necessarily have a problem, but like maybe they're toying with the idea of sobriety. Corlin and Jessica know this. My dad's an alcoholic. He's been an alcoholic my whole entire life. And I kind of laughed a little bit. And I'm sorry, Teresa, if this rubs you the wrong way when you said something about, stealing that 6-pack when you were young. Cause I stole a beer from my dad when I was in 8th grade. And that's, I think, probably the same story with most of us. And Jessica and Corlin, you probably don't know this, but my cousin Brett, a couple of years ago, passed away, literally drank himself to death. Like his alcohol level, he had a stroke in his front yard and died in his front yard. His alcohol level was 5. So what 0.05 is, I think, the legal limit. His was 5. So his wife went in the house, went to sleep, and thought he was right behind her, and he had a stroke in the front yard. So there's a lot that has happened. But my question is more about the practical side of it. A couple of years ago, I had a test and my blood pressure was high. And so there's a diet you can go on. And in this diet, to try to get your blood pressure to go down, it's essentially no salt, no sugar, no carbs, no alcohol. It sucks.
No joy, no fun.
No joy, nothing, just all vegetables. But so I looked into a lot of the mocktails. I bought, and I love a glass of red wine. So I bought some non-alcoholic red wine, which it tastes really good. And I was like, this is cool. Like, I can still have my glass of red wine. It just doesn't have alcohol in it, and that's fine. But I was thinking about just going out, you're at a fancy dinner or maybe you're out at the club.
and just having your mocktail. Do you think for folks that might be thinking about taking this journey, would it be, I'm trying to word this the right way. Is the temptation there to go out to maybe doing the same things that they used to do when they did partake and then having that non-alcoholic beverage, or would it be easier to just not do those things?
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of wondering, like, what would be like an easier or maybe a better way for them to start the journey?
I would say, because like I had shared earlier, I can go to wineries and Chardonnay was my thing. Like I can tell you the top three types of Chardonnay that I would love, and it was butter Chardonnay from Boda Box type thing. And during the summer, on those beautiful summer days when people are sitting on the patio and they have a crisp glass of Chardonnay or a drink that just looks delicious. And that's when I have to either step away or order that mocktail just to fill that desire, because like you said, there are really good non-alcoholic wines, but nobody offers those at restaurants. So I do prefer to have, like, just give me like a carbonated water with cranberry and some mint in it, and that will settle me down. And if restaurants don't, I will carry mint in my purse if I know I'm going out, and I'll just crush it and then put it in my drinks, because adding the mint to my drink of whatever I'm choosing just kind of settles that desire. And then I also tell myself, remember who you don't want to go back to.
Mm.
And that wasn't the fun person that they're looking to hang out with. It's the new you. And once I could realize and come to terms that I am an actual fun person, and who I was back then, 4 glasses of Chardonnay in, was not actually somebody, they were just tolerating me.
Mm.
And being okay with moving from that old person to, well, I can actually have really in-depth conversations. I'm actually fun. I'm not offensive. And I can have those conversations at a deeper level when I just throw in some mint and just mint some mint, whatever I'm drinking.
Yeah, Tristan, did you have to get up to that point? Like, was there a period of time, and I don't know if this is where you were going, Jamie, was there a period of time where you said, all right, for this first 6 months, I just can't go out. I just can't go to the function. I just can't go to the get together with my girls. Like, I need that time to be able to work my way up to being comfortable that I can go and have the mocktail.
Yeah, and it was around my in-laws or my immediate family, because we always got together and we all drank. And so it became a point where my husband was sober and people were still drinking around him and drinking his drink of choice of vodka or bourbon. And I was like, how rude. And then it got to a point where I was like, oh, you guys are trying to pour a glass of wine in front of me and I got to walk away right now, or anything that would cause my energy to be negative, or if there was going to be drama involved, I could not go to those places because I would leave and want to have a drink just to get through it. So I just, if as long as I stayed away from the restaurants that served me, and there was a few restaurants that would just set the glass of Chardonnay down in front of me when I sat down because they knew, and I didn't go there for a while. And then I never went to the liquor store or even around that. I chose a different gas station. And then I was like, this is so much better to wake up in the morning at 6 in the morning and be refreshed and ready to go. And then I kept reminding myself how good that felt.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Sandy, you guys, or Teresa, did you guys have to work your way up to that point? Sandy, you've been in this for quite some time now, but obviously you're good in bars and clubs and all of the places.
Clearly.
I am today, but
Side note, I
not
want to go
if I'm
dancing
not.
with
I
you.
won't. We'll have some fun. I won't go if I'm not spiritually fit.
Okay.
Like if I'm not okay, I'm not going because
Yeah.
I don't belong. And the other thing for me, like I don't have fun. Like it's about dancing for me, right? So I go to grown up places to go dance. Me sitting around a bar is not a lot of fun
Okay.
for me.
Yeah.
Like it just isn't, because I need to have a purpose to be there. In the literature in my fellowship, or the fellowship, I call it mine, the one that I go to, there's some stuff about that, right? Like we can go to, I think that it was written a long time ago, to regular whoopee parties or something like that. But I gotta be spiritually fit. And when I first got sober, I did stay away.
Okay.
I did not go. And I mean, it helped that I lived in a halfway house. Like God put me exactly where I needed to be, because I would have broken the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I wouldn't
yeah.
have. Right. And so I wasn't allowed for like 4 or 5 months to go anywhere that served alcohol. Right.
Ah,
To even serve it.
okay.
Right. To be around. So it was gradual. It was gradual. But I need a purpose, and I'm not fixed by any means. Any day I could pick up a drink.
Yeah.
And because recovery is the most important thing in my life, because without it, I don't have everything that I have.
Yeah. No, you
Right.
made a great point there,
So
Sandra. You said, I'm not fixed. So you
I'm
realize
not.
every day you have to go through that process, and you don't take it for granted that you have been sober for over 30 years. I'm not fixed. That's a
Yeah,
great,
I'm not.
great point. So it sounds like you're recommending, and both of you, and I don't know if you have a different view, Teresa, to Jamie's question, is your recommendation is for someone who's going on that journey, allow yourself that time to just stay away and not be in that environment until you have a little handle on your strength is up, maybe.
Yeah, like
My
kind of like changing the
recommendation,
habits.
yes. Well, my recommendation is to find somebody who's already done it and get some advice from them one on one, whether you find them at a meeting or not, because your best thinking is what got you here. So stop thinking and listen to somebody else, right? Do what
I mean,
somebody
I
else
read
says
somewhere in a
rather
book
than.
that we are our own best salespeople. Like I can convince myself of anything, right?
Yes. Teresa, were you going to say something?
Yeah, when I got sober this last time and I got with my sponsor, she had been sober for quite some time, and she just suggested a lot of the time to rest. Our bodies and our minds and our spirits have been through so much through the alcoholism for so long. So it was a lot of on the front end resting. There was a lot of downtime where it could be considered boring. I was bored a little bit, but just resting. And then having a backup plan if I was going to go to an event, like, okay, at this time, if it just gets a little too intense, have that backup plan and know that you got to leave by like 8:30, because then, things after 8:30 can get a little bit more, but, making sure you're prepared with your little drink, your little mocktail, whatever, if you are going to like a wedding or something like that. But nowadays, just this past Friday, I said, you know what? All of my tias and my cousins, everybody was out dancing at a club, and my mom, she loves to dance, and I said, I'm gonna stay out, and I feel strong enough to stay out to dance. And I danced for like 4 hours with them, and I had the greatest time of my life, sober, dancing. So maybe one day me and Sandy and we could all get together and dance together. But yeah, there was a lot of rest and just mindfulness. And if I am out somewhere nowadays, I just pray that God helps me lock in on whoever I need to kind of pour into in that situation.
And
Oh
before
my
I
gosh,
forget,
thank you guys so much. I know we said it like 5 times, but I thank you guys so much for your stories. Thanks. This has been great.
Jamie, I was just about to thank you for sharing part of your family story and reminding me that while I get to joke around and I get to laugh and I get to live a joyful life, real alcoholism and drug addiction is deadly,
Yeah.
right? And thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
I think that one of my big takeaways from the three of you is that, I think that there is a level of grace and humbleness that you guys have not only had, but just accepted for yourself. And which I think is just super beautiful, that it's just like, it's hard to do sometimes when we've went down a path of making not the best decisions for our life, but coming back and moving forward from that. And the opportunity that we all have to rewrite our story. We have another chapter, we have another there. It's up to us. And if you can take ownership of that, and it doesn't end also that not walking this by yourself, that there are so many other people that share in struggles, share in addiction, share in temptations in their own ways. Maybe it's this, maybe it's something else, but to be able to recognize that and move forward, I just champion all three of your souls. You guys are just fantastic and really what it means to lead like a girl. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I just appreciate the time that you listen. It's Saturday. We all are busy. We have plenty of things to do. And so I always say this. I did a video on, I learned over the years, the older I get, that time is the most valuable thing that I have. I can't buy it back. I can't pray it back. I can't get it back. And given that you spent your time today here with us is really truly a gift for me. This is a journey just like anything else. Every day we got to work towards this journey, and you guys are badasses, and I, knew that before coming into this conversation, and I love having the opportunity to share that with others. As we wrap up, first, of course, I ask listeners to go to Lead Like a Girl Lab on YouTube and subscribe. Share this episode on your social media so that, we can help one person. That's my goal. One person listens to this and says, you know what? That day I listened to that episode, I made a decision. Like that's all I ask for. And we couldn't do this if there wasn't people willing to share their story, because Teresa, you mentioned it. There's shame and embarrassment in it all, right? Because we know that we did a lot of stupid shit. That's all of us. But guess what? That's everyone on this earth. Nobody's exempt to stupid shit. We all do it.
Can we get that on a t-shirt?
We all do stupid shit.
Nobody's exempt to stupid shit. Yeah. So listen, I don't know if there's any last minute thoughts or last minute. If there are people out there listening to this episode, I will say, one, if you have to ask yourself, do I have a problem? Chances are there's a good chance that you do. Get help, ask for help. Nobody does it alone. There's help out here. There's community out here, and it's a journey. Do you ladies have anything else before we close out?
Just thank you for your time.
Thank you, girls.
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you for the podcast, right? Like Lead Like a Girl, and thank you for having me on.
And thank you for the platform to share. And my mission in life is where God has called me, and that's to serve others. And I run a nonprofit in our community that serves families and individuals going through homelessness. I would have never been here, and I can use my journey when I meet beautiful, amazing human beings who are going through shit, like you said. And we all have a story, and we all have something that's brought us to this part of our life and our journey. And for God to allow me the opportunity to share my story in hopes that it may save somebody's life. And that's my calling. And I think for people to understand when they're listening to this podcast and to your podcasts, when we talk about leading as women and being fierce in our lives for the sake of leading others, being raw and recovering out loud and being open to our story. We may never know the impact throughout our lives, but I know each and every one of these stories that these beautiful human beings that I get to share a Saturday morning with, you each offer the world something so absolutely amazing. And to share it and to have this platform to be able to allow others that opportunity that they may be able to make a change in their life and then grow from that and just redirect their story in a way that will be able to impact others. So I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Corlin, I absolutely love you to death and everything that you do in our community. You are somebody who I look up to, and I get to serve the community together in everything that we've done. So just continue to be fierce, and each one of you just continue to make the impact in your lives and in your journeys.
Yes.
So thank you.
I love it. Thank you. And Trisha, it's not just your calling. Truth be told, it is every single human's calling to serve others. I know that's hard for some people, but It's not about you. I promise you, it's not about you. So let's enjoy the rest of our day and lead like a girl. We're out.